Well, welcome to this friendly Friday with the Marketing Lifeline, sharing in conversation with like-minded business owners who just like to share and share alike, as I say. And today we are joined by Gary Searle, you're joining us from the UK, right, Gary?
Yep, that's correct.
Awesome. And representing his company called Customerse. And today we are going to be talking about referral marketing, probably something that is a little less spoken of, but just as important. So just thanks to you, Gary, for joining us today, and we look forward what you have to share with us.
You're welcome. And yes, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Awesome, thanks. So let's just do a quick intro to Gary, so we all understand where he's at. So Gary is a marketing consultant who founded Customerse in 2021. But Gary's business career started in 2013 when he started a business consultancy focused on customer service. The business taught Gary the importance of integrating both work and personal life. At least you learned that early on in life. He learned this the hard way, though, after working 16-hour days and not taking a single full day of off per week. This led Gary to hate the business he started, as well as permanent health issues. So Gary shut that business down and took some time to work on himself and decided exactly what he wanted in life. And this led him to the world of coaching. Later, starting his own personal coaching business, this taught Gary about the power of referral marketing and customer experience. Leading to a love of marketing and noticing a gap in the market, he started Customerse. Customerse helps service-based businesses acquire 50+% of their clients through word of mouth and referrals. Gary believes referral marketing is the most powerful and most neglected form of marketing in existence. I guess we'll hear a little bit more about that in a bit. Awesome. So, good thing that you did note that, you shouldn't be working 16-hour days and endless illnesses, because life doesn't have to be that way. And for the entrepreneurs out there and those listening, that is something I think is relevant. If you're doing it, you need to relook and look within your business and see how you can fix it, because it's not good for you. So let's go straight into, I know he's probably touched a little bit on it already, but maybe just the essence of why Customerse came to be. Let's just hear a little bit more about that before we shoot on to the next questions, Gary.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was kind of a little bit about what you just touched upon. I started my first business in 2013. That was good from a business standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, it was horrible. Decided to shut it down. And then in my second business, I always put a huge importance on customer experience, referrals, word of mouth. And I felt like that was going to be a good way to grow my business when I didn't have a lot of money to put into, say, like ads or bringing in a team, that sort of thing. So I made that a really important part of my business. It was really powerful. I realized then that a lot of people weren't doing it. So that led me to starting Customerse, which focuses on referral marketing and customer marketing, which is essentially looking at things like customer experience and how you treat your customers. And I actually think that came from my childhood as well, because I remember as a child, my family and I went to Cardiff for a shopping day, and my mum bought something from a shop. And, I don't know if they do it in South Africa, but in the UK, every time you take something back to return it, they always take your name, your address, the phone number, kind of details. Okay. And nobody ever does anything about it. You never hear back from them. I've always thought it's completely pointless. I don't know why they even do it. But this company phoned my mum up to make sure that she was happy with the service. If there was any reason why she took it back, they'd be like, there was a problem with the product. And they just wanted to make sure that everything was fine. And I thought that was brilliant, because they were the one company that did it. And it stood out in my mind. And I still remember it to this day, even though I was a young child at the time. And that's the difference between what great customer experience and customer service can do. It can make you remember a company and make you remember an experience for the rest of your life. And most companies don't do that. It's usually very bog standard. It's very typical and it's very much like everyone else's. They don't do anything to stand out. But if you do that,
Yeah.
it can have a huge impact on bringing in new customers and keeping your customers.
I love that. And actually, funny enough, they do that in South Africa. So if you do bring anything back, they take your name, your number, even down to your physical address. Why? I don't know. They need your physical address, but you're right. You actually never hear from them, though. I thought it was just as a record to say we had X amounts of returns.
Yeah.
But
so did I. And it probably is, but I think
fantastic.
to use it for customer experience and customer care as well is another great touch. And it's something that, like you said, nobody ever does. I've never heard it. You've never heard it. And I don't think I've ever heard of anyone else that have had that happen.
Okay. So it's crazy how small things like that we forget about, right? So let's talk about referral marketing, because as you've also mentioned, something that we don't share enough of on a regular basis and being really powerful. And I think especially in the world we live in today. So let's talk about that. And maybe you just want to share with us, what do you mean by referral marketing? So yeah, for those out there that are also kind of going, but what do you actually mean by referral marketing?
Yes, it's surprising actually how many people aren't quite sure what referral marketing is. We kind of on the surface get what it is, but the actual definition of it. So the definition I would use is it's essentially the promotion of your products or services that you offer in your business through other people. So through a third party, whether that's through your customers, whether it's through other businesses who then promote you to their customers and clients, whether it's through friends and family if you're like a small business. But essentially it is promoting your business and product through other people, usually through the use of word of mouth. So they're telling other people about you. It could also be that they're telling other people about you on their social media. So they're like writing a post about you, or they're just sharing your products through like sharing your content. That's a form of word of mouth. So it's that kind of thing, but it's essentially using other people, and then that leverages trust from them into their network. So it gives you access into other people's network that you wouldn't otherwise have.
So it doesn't sound like it costs you a lot of money, right?
That's one of the benefits of referral marketing, is it can be either free or cost very little, depending on how you do it. Sometimes if you incentivize word of mouth and referrals, it can cost you money, but only after you've got the money from that customer who's becomes a client or customer of yours. So then essentially it doesn't cost you anything and is still pretty much free.
Benefit. Okay, so let's talk about the next question. And I think this is always the thing, is why we find it hard or we steer away from referral, because it's having to ask, right? It's that big ask. Like, so you've just bought from me, and the last thing you want to do is ask them if they can refer you, right? Because we know, especially with those awesome, well, we get them obviously in South Africa, the telemarketers, and they phone us and they say, oh, I got your details from somebody, and we would like to promote, and I'm like, oh, who gave my number, whatever. So yes, we kind of always steer away and we say, no, sorry, I can't really give a name at this time. But so there's this kind of stigma, I think, also with referral marketing, with the word ask. So share with us, how do you maybe implement referral marketing into your day-to-day business? Because you seem to think it's kind of the norm and it happens and it should happen easily, but I think a lot of us feel, how do we do it?
So there's 101 ways to integrate it into your life and business. I'll give you a few things that I do that makes referral marketing easier for me. So one of the things, I set up my business as essentially having a culture of word of mouth and referrals. So it's from the very early interactions with a customer, sometimes even before they become a client of mine. I will literally tell them that most of my clients come through word of mouth, and I'll say, if you do become a client of mine, I will be asking you for referrals at some point. Are you okay with that? So automatically you're putting them in the mindset of, I may need to make referrals and introductions, that sort of thing. Another thing that I will do is networking is a big part of my day. So in the business world, networking tends to go down one of two ways. Either people think it's a really great activity that's really beneficial, or people just hate it and they think it's completely pointless. And it can be pointless if you don't do it kind of with intention. So it's having aims and goals with the networking that you're doing. So it's kind of like, who are you talking to, why are you talking to them, having, I don't like to use the word, but having an agenda, almost having like an intention of what this conversation is going to look like. So it could be setting up as a referral partnership. They might be able to refer you on to someone that they know, whatever it might be. So that's another big part of my sort of business that I do. I'm always looking to influence organic word of mouth and referrals as well. So I get people to talk about me on social media. I encourage people to talk about me on social media, and then that usually turns into organic as well, where they'll do it without me even asking. So I will get people that will write posts saying, I've had a great conversation with Gary, this is what he does, and it's like really good. I get people to share my posts as well if it's something that's really good, and sometimes people just do it anyway, but other people, they do it because I've asked them to, because it's something that they've already said that, oh, I really like this, and I know that a lot of my audience will really like this, and I'll say, would you mind sharing it, something like that. So I've created a mindset for referrals and word of mouth, in that I'm always looking for opportunities for them, whereas most people aren't doing that and they are missing it. So I'm looking for every opportunity to use referral marketing and word of mouth in my business day to day, whatever that might look like.
Yeah, I think, absolutely. The essence there is the mindset. I think that kind of steering away from having to, the worry of asking, just make it your mindset, as you said, then naturally some of those things will happen. So just to repeat on what Gary said, is, which I quite like, is create the expectation with your clients that come on board, that this is what you expect from them, because then when you get to that point, it won't be as awkward to ask, right? And another one is I totally agree with you. Networking is great, different forms of networking, but show up with the intentions, knowing what it is you need to ask for. And lastly, the organic posts. Yeah, if you're creating great content, people will naturally share it. And so people are reading. I mean, I've read Gary's posts. I follow him on Facebook, and you can go ahead and follow him on Facebook, and possibly join his Facebook group. We can drop the link in the chat, and just to also learn, and that's just like you say, an organic way of actual referral marketing, because people are reading and sharing and reading and sharing and starting to like, know, and trust. And so naturally the progression leads to customers. So, okay, key learning for me out of that one, I'm not sure about you, but mine is mindset. Change your mindset. Change your mindset from referral marketing is just the hard ask. Doesn't have to be. You can create a mindset around yourself and your customers to make it a little bit easier. So thanks for those key tips. And I'm even more excited to listen to your top 3 tips, because as you know, Friendly Friday is all about digging into your awesome minds with your expertise to share with us. So share with us your top 3 tips so that other entrepreneurs today, I think you've already told us a few, that have no referral marketing at all in place, or perhaps now they realized they do or they totally don't, where they can to kind of gear themselves up to implement something quite quickly. So yeah, give us your top 3 tips, which you've probably, as I said, covered, but I'm sure you've got something more in the bag to give us.
Yes, absolutely. I think I've got 1 or 2 others, but one of them, I think one of my biggest ones, is to create that mindset of referrals and word of mouth. It would need to be that, in the sense that you need to go into your business with the mindset and the expectation every day of, how can I get a referral? How can I encourage word of mouth? And it just changes the way that you operate in your business. So you don't go from around kind of looking for your next client directly. You're thinking, who knows who my next client is, who can make that referral, because you're then able to leverage their trust and the fact that that person knows, likes, and trusts them to then potentially create a client that way. So that would be certainly one of them. The other one, it would be to ask yourself, are you getting any organic referrals or word of mouth at the moment in your business without you asking? So if you don't have a referral marketing strategy, that's fine, but you should still be getting organic referrals at some point if your customer experience is good enough and your customer results are good enough. Yes. You're not going to get them necessarily consistently because you're not using a full strategy, but you will be getting them. And if you're not, it might be a sort of a bitter pill to swallow, but your customer experience or your customer results aren't good enough, because if they were, you would be getting some referrals. So that would be the first question you ask yourself. And if you're not getting them, you need to improve somewhere in your business. If you are getting them, then great, you could be really well set up to bring in lots of referrals with a proper sort of systematized strategy for referrals. And then the other one, it would be looking at your customer experience. So optimize that customer experience and provide the very best experiences that you can. And the reason for that is that the better those are, the better set up you are for referrals and word of mouth. So look at the competition, but also look at other sectors, see what they're doing differently, see maybe what they're doing better, and then ask yourself, how can I give an experience that is either a lot better than everyone else in my industry or a lot different? So if your customer experience is just like everyone else's, you're not going to stand out and you're going to find it harder to get referrals. If you're getting results, even with a subpar customer experience, you can still get referrals, but not as many as you could be. But I always prefer different over better, because better is kind of subjective. What one person considers the best customer experience they've ever had, someone else might think that it's pretty bog standard, depending on the industries they're in or used to. But different isn't subjective. You know if you've experienced something that's different to anything else you've ever experienced. So that will stand out probably more than anything else. So how can you make your customer experience different from everyone else's?
Yeah, that could be a whole nother conversation, customer experience.
Yes, it is.
Sure. I think that's, and also another one that I think isn't discussed often or even looked at often enough, and just assumed that, once you've sold the product to the person, then the service or experience is over. So, okay, to summarize again, mindset number 1, organic referrals. Because question mark, if your organic referrals are not coming in, maybe there's something wrong with your offering, or perhaps maybe it's time to ask your customers, what is it that you're not doing?
Yep.
So you can maybe hear from them what it is. And then absolutely close that off with a grand customer experience. And Gary knocked it nail on the head there with the word different. So a grand customer experience is great and somewhat expected, But I think if you go to market, like Gary says, with something different, anything to stand out in the world that we live in today, anything different, anything unexpected is something that will definitely set you apart. As Gary remembers from a little boy, that company, whoever they may be, actually bothered to phone him. So that's the power of being different. So thank you so much again, Gary, for those awesome tips. I think those are relatively quite simple ones we can pop into our business quite immediately and effectively, again, if we have the right mindset to kick it off. And then just in our last question, we always like to touch on the opinion, because opinions matter, right? So in your opinion, and why do you feel referral marketing is more powerful than any other form of marketing?
Okay, so I actually think it's jointly the most powerful form of marketing, because customer marketing in itself is a form of marketing. So it's marketing to your existing customers to keep them in the business and then potentially make referrals and word of mouth. So they're kind of closely linked. But it is close. But as a client acquisition form of marketing, I think referral marketing is the most powerful. And there's a number of reasons for that. But the main ones is it leverages trust. And as far as I am aware of, it's the only form of marketing that leverages trust anywhere in existence. Also, referred customers tend to negotiate less. They tend to buy faster. They tend to spend more money. They tend to buy more often, and they're more likely to refer other people to you because they've come in from a referral. They're more likely to be thinking, who can I also refer to and talk about with this business? Other forms of marketing rarely does that. They can, but not as much. And is another good thing as well is it's essentially free, or it can be free depending on how you use it. And that's another thing that other forms of marketing don't do, in a sense that you can use organic marketing like DM outreach, and that can be free unless you've got a team doing it, but it still takes up a lot of your time for quite often very little return. Whereas referral marketing, you can put in the work, but once you've done the groundwork and once you've set it in place, you can also get the returns without you doing anything and being in the business. So, for example, early on in the week, I wasn't very well. I had a bad weekend, was still sort of feeling the effects on Monday and Tuesday. I did no lead generation at all for my business, and I had 4 referrals come in 2 days. Yeah. And I did nothing for those. They just came in through my efforts from previous weeks. And that's one of the great things about referral marketing is you can see results when you're least expecting it. And you can see results when you're not even doing anything yourself, because there's other people that you're leveraging to do that work for you.
Totally. Hey, yeah. So it's almost like they say, make money while you sleep, because people will just send referrals your way.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to cost you a cent.
Absolutely. And that is why it's so powerful. But as I said, it's also the most underutilized, because like with social media, with advertising becoming so cheap now on social media, although it's getting more expensive again, but it's still cheap compared to the old days when you had to advertise in, say, magazines and TV and radio and all that. So people started to use that, and it's great. I'm not knocking ads. They can be brilliant and they can really take your business to the next level. But if you combine that with referral marketing, you're going to stand out, because not many people do it. And certainly I don't know many companies that do it well. There are a few, obviously, but most companies could be doing a lot better.
I think, yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on that as well from my side is, so I'm part of a network group, which is kind of classified as referral marketing. And, yes, everyone says, you only need referral marketing, which I agree is the most powerful source, because you've mentioned the keyword trust, and people buy from people, and, and so it goes. But at the same time, you still have to have some element of your social presence, as you've been doing, because I kind of use that as the reference check, right? So we hear about Gary Searle, we go onto LinkedIn, there's no profile. We go onto Facebook, there's no profile. We can't find a website. Now we're like, now, is this guy for real? So just from my side as well, people kind of say, focus, referral marketing, which is key, but you still should have some type of your online presence. Doesn't mean you need to be spending money. Just show up, as Gary does as well, because that is part of your organic growth as well. So love that, Gary. And referral marketing is amazing. And I think totally, if we can do it more in our business naturally, all the better, right? Because as you say, now advertising is going up. Everyone wants to get a share of the pie, and it's just becoming a merge of information that I feel we all just want to run away from. But it's rather, if I can just rely on someone to tell me who I can go and get help from, all the better. Awesome. Well, thanks, Gary. This has been an amazing chat. I think we could have definitely chatted more. Hence, I keep it strictly to 5 questions, because otherwise we tend to waffle. But we'll definitely touch base on the customer experience one again. We'll get you back for that. Absolutely. But yeah, just want to say thanks to you and joining us this morning. I know it's not at least too early in the UK, but thank you for joining us this morning and sharing with us.
No worries. It's been great. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm happy to have been able to provide value for your audience.
Awesome. Thank you. And just what we're doing right now is a form of referral marketing. So just going to your key people within your network and asking them how they can help you, or you can help them. Okay. So it doesn't have to always be money, right? Just having your network to rely on. And yeah, so that's us for today. I hope you enjoyed the interview and the key nuggets that were taken out. And yeah, wishing you all the best on your referral marketing journey. Until next week, Friday, have a super friendly Friday, and over and out. Ciao.